So actual engine, diesel fuel injection systems. So this is a common rail injection system. Common rail injection system. You see the animation. So you see how the fuel is injected by means of the fuel injector. A cam driven fuel injector
pressure energy is stored remotely, and the injectors are electrically actuated. The injection pressure at the start and end of injection is the same pressure in the accumulator, thus producing a square ejection pattern. In other words, the injection pressure and rate will be the same for each of the multiple injection events. Were limited by several factors. They were chemical, proven and injection pressure. Redneck definition. That is a hodgepodge of several different
What
components
is
of several different platforms of common rail light duty diesels is a masterpiece that is going to be a
what is
teaching
common rail
tool
fuel
as
injection
we go
actually?
through this fantastic journey of fuel injection. Let's begin. I find myself when I say common rail to people, we're talking about your platforms of trucks. If a Dodge customer calls, he's not sure if he's got an O2 or O3. I'll always say, well, is it common rail? And sometimes that's where I lose them. So let's go into what is common rail once you have identified whether you've got a common rail or not. So the first thing in the circuit, in the common rail circuit, other than your fuel tank, let's cut all that part out. You guys are smart enough to know that there's a fuel tank. It's got fuel in it. The fuel gets to the CP3 pump. But let's talk about the CP3 pump. CP3 pump, it is a dumb pump. It is an injection pump, but it is a dumb pump. Here's what the CP3 does. Fuel into the CP3. The CP3 has a metering valve on it called an FCA or fuel control actuator. Some people call it an MPROP. The metering valve on the CP3, it regulates the fuel flow internal to the CP3, which builds the pressure. That pressurized and that volume of fuel goes to the rail, common rail. The rail is the common collection system where the fuel
This is the common rail.
delivered to the
Common
injectors.
rail.
The fuel is here and it is going through each individual port and the specified pressure that is coming out of the CP3, and it is always at the injectors. The injectors are the business end of this, but we're not to the injectors yet. The rail itself has a couple of key components. It has got a fuel pressure sensor, always that is inside of the rail, or that is in an junction block that is tied to the system itself. And you also have a fuel pressure relief valve, or a cascade valve, some people call, that will allow the overpressure, if the fuel pressure begins, if the fuel pressure gets too high, it will allow the excess fuel to dump off back to the tank. Then the pressurized fuel is delivered to the injectors. The injectors receive a signal from the FICM or for the ECM that create the combustion event that goes into the cylinders. The fuel sprays in, all the magic happens. That's what makes the car go down the road. The injectors are the brain of the brains of the operation. The CP3 is the brawn of the operation. Now, common rail injection, why is it here? Common rail injection, and this is a generalization that we're speaking in only the big three light duty platforms. Common rail injection is here because it is cleaner and it is more efficient. It works from a couple thousand PSI on startup to upwards of above 20,000 PSI at full power regimen. They give you better atomization of the fuel, which is going to give you a cleaner burn and is going to give you a more efficient vehicle, and you're going to be able to pass all those EPA standards and tiers and all the stuff that you really don't want to talk about today. So this hodgepodge of parts, we can go into this. This is a couple of components from several different trucks. This is actually a rail pressure sensor from a 6.7 Dodge. It's got an LB7 injector here for the 01 to 04s, 5.9 rail. I don't know what the lines are off of. The CP3 is also off of a 5.9. This rail that I brought up for another demonstration demonstration component is off of an LB7. You Duramax guys are going to know that your FP, your fuel pressure relief valve, is in the back of the rail. Some of the rails will have the pressure sensor actually on the Duramax rails. The Fords are completely different. Fords from 08 and up is common rail. All of the components are pretty well the same. They may look different to you. The Fords are, some of the later model Fords are piezo injections, and we may get into that into another video. But I just wanted to give you a good overview of what is common rail today. I'm also going to help you with your acronyms when you're speaking to someone in fuel systems or common rail. Fuel, when people are speaking in fuel terminology, 1800 volt. Display KPX. Hope this video was helpful for you guys. If you've got any questions on common rail,
Air blast injection means air injection system in which compressed air is used to inject the fuel. Solid injection means airless injection system. It is of three types: CRDI, individual pump, and distributor system. Each cylinder has its own individual high pressure pump and a metering unit also. It is a quite compact system. Common rail system.
పోనీరా ఏం క్లాస్ కదా
క్లాస్ రూమ్ ఉన్నాను.
ఏది క్లాస్ ఏది క్లాస్ అది క్లాస్
ఎస్ క్లాస్
అది క్లాస్ నువ్వు నాకు చెప్పండి జూమ్ చూపించు
చూపే అది
జూమ్ చూపించు పార్టిసిపెంట్ చూపించు ల్యాప్టాప్లో వెళ్ళొచ్చు కదా
Okay, this
నువ్వు
is
మాత్రం ఏం
about
వింటున్నావు? నువ్వు కూడా వినట్లేదు
Okay, this is about the fuel injection system in diesel engines. In brief, generally the fuel injection system is of two types. One is air injection, Otherwise, airless or solid injection. Solid or airless injection is classified in two types again: mechanical injection, electronic injection. Mechanical injection is classified into common rail, individual pump, and distributor system. So in air injection system, high pressure air is used to inject the fuel into the cylinder, but the cost is more, efficiency is less because of the additional weight of the compressor. Next, airless injection, it is classified into mechanical and electronic injection. Compressed air is not used, instead of which pumps are used here. A common rail injection system, individual pump, distributor system. In a common rail system, a high pressure pump is used to supply the fuel from fuel tank to the accumulator or header. So high pressure relief valve is used to maintain the pressure constant in the accumulator. So fuel lines, so to each fuel line of the cylinder, fuel is supplied by means of injector. It is injected into the cylinder in the CRDA system. Next, we have individual pump system. Four separate pumps are used to for each cylinder to pump the to supply the fuel at a pressure, high pressures into the cylinder. So separate fuel injectors are there for each engine. Therefore, they are used to inject the fuel. In distributor system, and a common distributor is there for all the four cylinders. Instead of a common rail, a common distributor is there for all the four pumps. The distributor, through the four pumps, the fuel is supplied into the cylinder. There are the fuel injectors. The nozzle is at the end of the system. So what is a nozzle? A nozzle is actually, this is not in our syllabus. This is a Bosch fuel injection pump. This is a distributor type fuel pump. Nozzle is a part of the injector through which the fuel is injected into the combustion chamber. And there are type of the nozzles: pint nozzle, single hole nozzle, multi-hole nozzle, Pintox nozzle. These are the various types of nozzle. This is a Pintin nozzle. Actually, these are not in the syllabus, but you can see how a nozzle is looking like in a construction. This is the hole at the end of the fuel injector, which is called a nozzle, to inject the fuel into the cylinder. This is single hole nozzle. This is multi-hole nozzle. Okay. Pintox nozzle. These are the construction of the nozzles. This is not in our syllabus. Okay. Just in our syllabus, what is the type of injection system are there? Just to concentrate only on those things. All these things will be covered again in automobile engineering subject. Okay. Okay. Thank you for attending the class. So it is your duty to attend the class in the online. Okay. I am ending the class. First unit is completed. For the next class, we will start second unit.